let's talk Iris a little bit. What's the impact of Iris to a health system? How should they be looking at that? I mean, it's a significant change to the back end on the Epic platform. What are you seeing, and what do you think it means?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I was actually at InterSystems when Iris was in its dream infancy state. It was it was referred to as a code name at the time. Iris wasn't really a name yet. So I was part of a lot of the initial discussions. And the things that I will tell you is that yes, it's a different platform. It's built on top of the same engine that was built on. It's better and it's faster. It's more scalable. There's a lot of features that have been added to it. Operationally, InterSystems and Epic have both done a really good job, I think, in terms of helping customers be able to make that switch from Cache to Iris. So think about, again, coming back to the day two operations, like there's scripts that folks have, like the database administrators have, the storage folks have, et cetera, that leverage features and functions exposed via APIs inside of Cache. Those all need to be updated to reflect now the new command set and the new API. So InterSystems has created sort of a translation tool to allow folks to be able to port those scripts over, et cetera, those sorts of things. And then, we layer on automation orchestration on top of that, and things become a lot easier to migrate. But here's where it gets a little bit interesting, right? The operational model aside, I think it's about the financial model and what it actually helps you decide to do, which can actually be a good thing or not a good thing, right? So previously, prior to Iris, healthcare organizations that were running on Epic were, had multiple choices in terms of platforms to pick. And I'm talking about several years ago. Now there's not that many choices. So it could be HPUX, it could be Solaris, right, from Sun, it could be IBM AIX, it could be, there were a bunch of other platforms and systems out there. And it's been whittled down now. So it's AIX and Red Hat on x86 virtualized on top of VMware are their two choices on premises that customers can run. But essentially, it was more economical for a client to pick a particular platform and get a platform specific license. So it was like, okay, I'm going to run on AIX. That's great. To change from one platform to another was a huge financial lift for the organization. So they would have to pay a relicensing fee, et cetera, et cetera. So there was a lot of financial implications. And we're talking big dollars here. We're not talking some small, 5%, et cetera. It was a big one-time fee that you would have to incur to change platforms. When Iris came along, one of the things that InterSystems did, and then they subsequently did this with Epic, was they gave their clients the ability to be able to switch platforms for a much lower barrier of entry. So you still had to pay a little bit of an uptick, but that was an uptick for the feature set from Cache to Iris. So it's not really a re-platforming fee, it's a new platform fee, if you will. But what that actually allows you to do is it allows you to go down the route of being able to switch platforms if you decide. So what we're seeing in the industry now is that folks that have been running on IBM Power, on AIX, now for the first time have the opportunity to consider moving to x86 Red Hat, virtualized on VMware. And there's a lot of buzz about that. So there's a lot of people talking about it, et cetera. I don't have statistics in terms of how many folks are looking to re-platform, but I do have statistics around when Epic first introduced x86 Red Hat virtualized on VMware, the number of configurations that were being requested net new customers coming on board, starting probably about, so let's call it 7-8 years ago. I think 95% plus were on that configuration rather than on AIX. So the number of clients that are running on x86 virtualized on VMware, leveraging Red Hat and VMware for virtualization, is significant. So people are looking and considering the options to move. So when they do that, the biggest challenge that they then have is to figure out how to take the operational pieces that they have built and all of the resiliency that they've built on the Power HA platform on the Power Platform and port that over. And so that's where folks are starting to run into, what does this really mean? How do I build the resiliency? What does my total cost of ownership look like? How do I actually go and build out the operational capabilities, et cetera? So that's where we're getting into conversations with clients. So it's not just about a replatforming from one to the other, because there's technical stuff too, right? You're going from a big Indian system to a little Indian system. So you have to do a conversion of the actual database. And again, InterSystems and Epic makes that very easy to be able to do that. But there's, those considerations as well. So I think in sum total, it's a good thing that's happening and it gives folks choices, but you have to go about it in a methodical fashion.